US Vice President JD Vance has delivered a blunt ultimatum to Russia, warning that if President Vladimir Putin does not accept a peace deal guaranteeing Ukraine's long-term sovereignty, Washington could unleash devastating economic sanctions and, if necessary, military action. Speaking to the Wall Street Journal on Thursday, Vance underscored the seriousness of the U.S. stance, suggesting Moscow should brace for severe consequences if it resists diplomatic overtures.
There are economic tools of leverage. There are, of course, military tools of leverage, he said.
But it was his next statement that delivered the biggest jolt. Vance did not rule out the possibility of sending U.S. troops into Ukraine if Moscow refuses to engage in good faith negotiations. His remarks mark a dramatic departure from the previous day's comments by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who had downplayed any talk of American boots on the ground.
If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. There also must be robust international oversight of the line of contact. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine.
Hegseth had reassured NATO allies in Brussels that Washington's primary focus remains on sanctions and military aid to Kyiv, not troop deployment. He also described a return to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders, including Crimea, as a fantasy, adding that NATO membership for Kyiv is off the table for now.
We will only end this devastating war and establish a durable peace by coupling Allied strength with a realistic assessment of the battlefield. We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has directly stepped into the fray. On Wednesday, he held separate phone calls with Putin and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, instructing U.S. officials to make it happen and fast-track preparations for a potential ceasefire.
I think there is a deal that is going to come out of this that's going to shock a lot of people, Vance told the Wall Street Journal.
He hinted at Trump's no-holds-barred approach to the talks, adding,
"The president is not going to go into this with blinders on. He's going to say, everything is possible. Let's make a deal."
But while the Trump administration projects confidence, unease is growing in Kyiv. Ukrainian officials fear that Trump's pursuit of a deal could mean conceding strategic territory to Russia. One senior Ukrainian diplomat described the atmosphere as tense, warning that Ukraine would reject any agreement seen as capitulating to Kremlin demands. The Kremlin has not officially responded to Vance's remarks, but Russian officials have previously cautioned that any Western military intervention would be seen as a red line and met with all necessary countermeasures. Moscow has consistently portrayed US and NATO involvement in Ukraine as a direct threat to its national security.